You ever have those moments where you realize you know almost nothing about something that has shaped the lives of billions of people? That's where I'm at right now. I've been reading, watching, and talking to people about history for years, but when it comes to the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, I feel like most people in the West, including myself, barely scratch the surface. We hear headlines, stereotypes, or little snippets, but the actual life story, man, that's like this massive book sitting in the corner that no one bothers to open. So I decided to dive in. Why? Because whether you're religious or not, the influence of this one person on human civilization is beyond insane. Think about it. Over 1.9 billion people today follow the faith he started. That's almost a quarter of humanity. And this all started with one dude in the desert 1400 years ago. How? What kind of life did he live? How did he go from being an orphan in Mecca to literally changing the course of history? That's what we're going to unpack today. And I'm doing this in my style, no preaching, no sugarcoating, just curiosity and respect. Because if someone has impacted the world this much, the least you can do is learn their story. Setting the scene, Arabia before Islam. All right, so before Muhammad was even born, let's look at the world he was stepping into. Arabia around 570 CE. Man, it was wild. No governments, no empires running the show. It was all tribal. Imagine hundreds of tribes, each with their own rules, customs, and grudges. Loyalty to your tribe was everything. If someone messed with you, you didn't call 911, you grabbed a sword and started a blood feud. The society was hardcore patriarchal. Women had almost zero rights. Girls could literally be buried alive because some tribes thought daughters brought shame. Slavery was normal. Drinking, gambling, constant wars. It was basically chaos with sand. In religion, polytheism was the thing. People worshipped idols, like hundreds of them. The Kaaba, the cube in Mecca that Muslims pray toward today, was full of idols back then. But here's the crazy part. Even in that chaos, Arabs valued certain things: hospitality, bravery, honor. Poetry was like their podcast. They didn't have Spotify, so people would gather around and listen to these epic poems that passed down history and culture. That's the backdrop. Into this world comes Muhammad, and trust me, his early life wasn't easy. The birth of Muhammad, Paba. So Muhammad was born in the year 500 CE, a year they call the Year of the Elephant. Why? Because there was this dude, a Christian governor named Abraha, who tried to attack Mecca with an army that included elephants. Kind of like the tanks of that time, they were going to destroy the Kaaba, but according to historical accounts, that army never made it. A freak event happened. Birds dropping stones, disease spreading. It wiped them out. People saw this as divine intervention. Anyway, Muhammad was born that same year. His father, Abdullah, had died before he was even born. His mother, Amina, took care of him. But when he was just 6 years old, she died too. So now he's an orphan. First his dad, then his mom. He goes to live with his grandfather, Abdul Muttalib, who was like a respected elder in Mecca. But 2 years later, boom, grandfather dies. Now he's under the care of his uncle Abu Talib. You can imagine what that does to a kid. He had no parents, no wealth. He's growing up in a society where tribe and family are everything. And he's starting life at the bottom. That could have broken him, but it didn't. It shaped him. The trustworthy one. Now here's where it gets interesting. As Muhammad grows up, people notice something about him. His character. In a place full of liars and schemers, this kid stands out. He's honest, like brutally honest. He's fair. He helps the poor. And people start calling him Al-Amin, which means the trustworthy. Think about that. No social media, no branding, no PR team, just character. And his reputation was so solid that people would literally leave their valuables with him for safekeeping. He works as a shepherd at first, then becomes a merchant, and he's good at it. Why? Because he doesn't cheat. When everyone else is trying to hustle and scam, he's like, nah, I'm gonna do this straight, and that earns him respect. The love story, Muhammad and Khadijah. Now comes one of my favorite parts, his relationship with Khadijah. She's this wealthy, successful businesswoman in Mecca. Pretty rare for that time. She hires Muhammad to manage some trade for her, and he crushes it. Not only does he do the job well, but her servants notice how respectful and ethical he is. No shady stuff, no greed. Khadijah is impressed so much that she proposes to him. She's 40, he's 25, and they get married. They had this beautiful marriage, 25 years together, 6 kids, and by all accounts, a ton of mutual love and respect. In a culture where men had multiple wives, Muhammad stayed with only Khadijah that whole time. That says a lot. The search for meaning. Fast forward, Muhammad is now in his late 30s. Life is good, But he's not content. He sees the corruption, the idol worship, the injustice, the strong crushing the weak, and it bothers him. So he starts going to this cave called Hijrah, up in the mountains near Mecca, just to think, meditate. Imagine that, no distractions, no phones, just silence and stars. And then it happens. The first revelation. This is the moment that changes everything. He's 40 years old, in the cave, and an angel, Gabriel, appeared. Now I don't care what your beliefs are. Just put yourself in his shoes. You're alone in a cave, and suddenly there's this presence telling you, read. You're like, I can't read. And the angel says, read in the name of your Lord who created man from a clot. Muhammad freaks out. I mean, who wouldn't? He runs home, heart pounding, and tells Khadijah, cover me, cover me. He's terrified, and she's the rock. She says, don't worry, God would never disgrace you. You're kind to people. You help the needy. You're a good man. She takes him to her cousin, a Christian monk named Waraka, who says this is the same angel who came to Moses. You've been chosen as a prophet. That's the start of Islam. One cave, one man, one revelation, and the world will never be the same. The secret years. At first, Muhammad keeps it quiet. For 3 years, he only shares the message with close family and friends. His wife Khadijah is the first to believe in him, then his best friend Abu Bakr, then Ali, his young cousin, and a few others. They start praying in secret, because let's face it, Mecca was not ready for this. Why? Because what he's preaching is a direct threat to the system. He's saying there's only one God, no idols, treat people fairly, free your slaves, stop burying your daughters alive. That sounds great to us, but to the Quraysh elite, the guys making bank off idol worship at the Kaaba, it's like, hold up, this dude's about to ruin our business. Persecution begins. As Islam grows, so does the hate. They mock Muhammad, call him a liar, a sorcerer, even try to bribe him. You want money, power, women? We'll give you everything. Just stop preaching. But he refuses. He says, if you put the sun in my right hand and the moon in my left, I won't give up this mission. That's some next-level conviction, and it costs them. His followers get beaten, tortured, killed. A group of them escapes to Abyssinia, where a Christian king gives them refuge. That's a wild part of the story. Muslims finding safety with Christians shows how these histories are connected. The year of sorrow. Things get darker. Muhammad loses his uncle Abu Talib, his protector, and his wife Khadijah, his rock, in 1 year. Imagine that. No protection, no partner, enemies everywhere. They even planned to kill him. And that's where we leave off today, right before the biggest turning point of his life, the migration to Medina. All right, so when we left off, Muhammad, peace be upon him, was in the darkest time of his life. He lost his uncle, Abu Talib, who had been his protector, and his wife Khadijah, his closest supporter. He's got enemies everywhere in Mecca. The elite of Quraysh want him dead because his message, worship one God, stop oppressing the weak, live with justice, is shaking the foundations of their power. So what do you do when your hometown becomes a death trap? You look for a new start, and that's where the story goes next. The Hijrah, the migration to Medina. And honestly, this move, it's one of the most strategic game-changing moments in history. The Hijrah, a new beginning. So a group of people from a city called Yathrib, later known as Medina, hear about Muhammad. They've got tribal feuds tearing their city apart, and they're like, maybe this guy can help us bring peace. They meet him, they like what they hear, and they invite him to come over. But the Quraysh aren't going to let Muhammad just walk out. They hatch a plan to kill him. Multiple tribes agree to strike at once, so no single tribe gets blamed. It's basically an assassination plot. Muhammad gets wind of this, and here's where it gets cinematic. He leaves his house in the middle of the night, while the assassins are outside. He puts his cousin Ali in his bed. Ali's like, yeah, I'll do it, which is insane bravery. And Muhammad slips out. He and his best friend, Abu Bakr, head south, not north to Medina, to throw the assassins off. They hide in a cave called Thor for 3 days, while Quraysh search everywhere. At one point, the pursuers are literally at the mouth of the cave, and Abu Bakr whispers, they're right here. Muhammad replies, don't worry, God is with us. Finally, when the heat dies down, they make the journey north to Medina. This migration, the Hijrah, marks the start of the Islamic calendar. That's how big it is. It's not just a physical move. It's the birth of a new community, a new society. Building a society, the Constitution of Medina. Now, Muhammad isn't just a spiritual leader anymore. He's a head of state. Medina was like a powder keg. Muslims, Jews, pagans, different tribes, constant tension. So the first thing Muhammad does, he drafts this document, later called the Constitution of Medina. This thing is revolutionary for its time. It says all citizens, regardless of religion, have rights. No tribe can attack another. If the city is attacked, everyone defends it together. In a world where tribal loyalty was everything. This is mind-blowing. It's like saying we're not just tribes anymore. We're one community. Early struggles in the first battles. But it's not smooth sailing. The Quraysh in Mecca, they're furious. They've lost control of Muhammad, and now he's gaining followers in Medina. So they go to war. The first big clash is the Battle of Badr. Imagine this, about 1,000 Quraysh warriors. On paper it's a slaughter waiting to happen, but the Muslims win, and this shakes Arabia. Everyone's like, wait, the underdogs just beat the Meccan elite? Next comes Uhud. Different story. Muslims almost win. Then some archers disobey orders, and Quraysh counterattack. Muhammad is injured. Some of his closest companions die. It's a brutal lesson. Unity matters. Then there's the Battle of the Trench. Quraysh come back with a massive coalition army, 10,000 strong, to wipe out Medina. The Muslims dig a trench around the city, something Arabs had never done before. It works. The siege fails. After that, Quraysh realize, we can't beat this guy militarily. The diplomacy masterclass, Hudaybiyah. Now here's a part I love because it shows Muhammad's strategic mind. He decides to go to Mecca for pilgrimage, unarmed, just a peaceful visit. Quraysh freak out and stop him at a place called Hudaybiyah. Tensions rise, negotiations happen, and a treaty is signed. At first, this treaty looks bad for the Muslims. Unfair terms, delays. Some companions are furious, but Muhammad sees the bigger picture. Peace means freedom to spread the message, and it works. In the next 2 years, more people join Islam than in the previous night. Sometimes patience beats brute force. The conquest of Mecca. Fast forward a few years, Quraysh break the treaty. That's it. Muhammad marches on Mecca with an army of 10,000. But here's the twist. No bloodbath, no revenge spree. He enters the city almost peacefully. And what does he do? He forgives them. These are the same people who tortured his followers, killed his friends, drove him out, and he says, go, you're free. That's next level forgiveness. He cleanses the Kaaba of idols, but he doesn't burn down homes or force conversions. That mercy wins more hearts than any battle could. The farewell sermon. Timeless words. After the conquest, Islam spreads across Arabia. And then in his final year, Muhammad gives what's called the farewell sermon. During his last pilgrimage, these words, they're universal. No racism. No Arab is better than a non-Arab. No white over black. Except by piety. Women's rights. Treat women kindly. Economic justice. No exploitation. No interest-based oppression. Human rights, life, property and honor are sacred. This was 1400 years ago, in a world where burying daughters alive was normal. That's insane progress for the time. The final days and legacy. Soon after, Muhammad falls ill. He dies at 63 in the same humble home where he lived, leaving behind no wealth, no throne, just a legacy of faith and principles that changed the world. Think about that. A man who couldn't read or write, who started with nothing, ends up transforming not just Arabia, but global history. Whether you believe he was a prophet or not, you can't deny the impact. My takeaway, for me, the story of Muhammad, peace be upon him, isn't just about religion. It's about resilience, leadership, and sticking to your principles when the world is against you. It's about a guy who could have taken the easy route, fame, power, wealth, but said no because he believed in something bigger. And here's the thing.